So I just finished watching the reveal of the PlayStation 4, and I like what I saw. Uh, I think Sony's heading in a good direction with PlayStation 4. The reveal was a lot less arrogant than the PlayStation 3 reveal. It seems like they're just trying to get back into gear and get back to what PS1 and PS2 meant for the people who made those systems the dominant systems of their respective generations. Um, I think they, especially like at E3 2005, especially in 2006 when they revealed those 7th gen HD systems, there was a lot of focus, a lot of a tone set that everything now was going to be, brown and bloom and realistic, and everything had to be really gritty and hardcore. And that's what the next generation was. This time we saw a much more sort of balanced, sort of varied. Well, I feel we saw a much more balanced or varied vision of what the eighth generation is going to be, and it really reflects what PS1 and PS2 were known for. They were very varied systems. They were seen as family systems, even though there was still the whole Nintendo Kitty thing. But PS1 and PS2 were really systems for everyone. PS3 has lots of stuff for everyone. It's there's this real sort of stereotype. Sony made it for themselves, and then they tried desperately to break from it for the rest of the seventh generation. That the PS3 was just the balls out, testosterone filled, guys only, hardcore only system, and that's not really what PS3 was. That certainly was a part of its image, but uh, it's not really what I knew PS1 and PS2 to be about, having owned and loved those systems when they were current. And I know a lot of the games I'd love to play for PlayStation 3 totally defied that stereotype. So it's good that they're sort of trying to have sort of a more balanced sort of vision for the system. Uh, I think they're trying to position themselves to be obviously the next PS2, sort of, trying to be. In general, I like what I saw. It was a good presentation. Now, in terms of there were very high expectations of what the games on the system were going to look like, and strictly speaking, the first footage we saw of PlayStation 3 was the Unreal Engine 4 demo we saw immediately after E3 2012, running in real time on PlayStation 4, and it looks just as good as it did back when that Unreal Engine 4 demo was shown. I think it's the same demo, or it's a similar demo. But it's a basically, excuse me, I'm stumbling over myself a bit. But it was the same, it was a similar demo, and it looked just as good as the Unreal Engine 4 demo did back after E3 2012. And it's pretty much exactly what I expected uh, PlayStation 4's games to look like. They look like high end PC. They look like really good PC games. That's going to for the graphics connoisseurs who have PS3 and 360. They're going to see the difference is pretty obvious, but it's the improvement that PlayStation 4 represents. I mean, obviously, better graphics is going to be part of that, but this is not like from PS1 to PS2 where you could just sell the system on better graphics, or from PS2 to PS3 where you could sell the system based on better graphics. Here, the graphics are improved over PS3, but they're not enough of an improvement that alone is what's the focus here, or that alone could. I don't think that graphics alone could sell this system. Uh, the real They're major now. Not saying that PS4 isn't a big improvement over PS3. I think the improvements are really. It's kind of almost like sort of PS. And this kind of sort of sounds sort of obvious, but it's like PS4 is basically just a continuation of what they're doing with PS3, but doing the things that PS3 can't do and never will be able to do, no matter how much they update it. And I think they're trying to make a really adaptable, future-proofed system that's going to be like, okay, this is what PlayStation is. This is the core of what PlayStation is going to be for the next decade or decade and a half. Because I don't see a PlayStation 5 being announced in 7 or 8 years. I do not see that happening. Uh, the way things stand now, I think that PS4 is going to be this eighth generation is going to last a lot longer than any generation before it, and I'm pleased with what I've seen. Let me get my thoughts together a bit. I talked about uh, the first game, the first proper game they showed, Knack, was probably a lot different than what a lot of people were imagining the first PlayStation 4 game to be revealed to the public to look like, and to to it's probably not what a lot of people were expecting. It's not what I was expecting. It looks great, uh, and I'm just interested to see how this is going to move forward. The controller, it looks good. I mean, I'm just saying this looks good, that looks good, but the controller, the share button, I think that's going to be a really cool feature of the system. The capabilities, the improvements, the advances of PlayStation 4, I think are going obviously a lot more than just the graphics. It's not even really a focus on graphics. It's really just in expanding the capabilities or the possibilities of what can be done with the system, expanding how people will relate to the games, how those games are going to interact, via network devices through the cloud, through different social networks, and I think it's kind of a lot like what we're already seeing on Wii U with Miiverse. I think how people relate to the games is going to be a lot more important in the eighth generation than just like just the the gross spec boost, so to speak. And I mean, this thing's going to have like eight gigs of memory. It's it's not like it's not a major upgrade, but how the games look is only going to be a small part of the PlayStation 4 story. And this is really what I've been saying for a while, and I've often been saying that in sort of the context of sort of trumpeting a pro Nintendo horn. But it's really, I think, this is what I expected to really see from Sony, and this is, and as far as graphically, these look like really high end PC games, and that's pretty much what I've been saying for a while is a reasonable expectation of what to expect. And people are saying, like, oh, this is going to be like the jump from PS2 to PS3, or this new system's going to have better than PC graphics. And the I know the most visually I know is Killzone 4. Essentially, the Killzone 4 trailer, or Killzone whatever it's called. Excuse me, I'm not the Killzone demo for PlayStation 4 that we saw. Essentially, looked about what Sony was promising from the Killzone demo from E3 2005. And that being said, and the game did not end up looking that good when it actually showed up on PS3. Now that being said, the Killzone 4 demo looks beautiful. It's not a game I'd be into, but visually it's stunning. It looks great, but it looks like what PC gamers have come to expect. Now that's, I think, really the just looking at something like Destiny. We're seeing the sense of scale can be expanded so much, and the models are going to look better. It's really more just about the world being able to live and breathe freely, and I think it's not as obvious of an advancement, but I think it's a very important one. And I think that's going to be part of the reason why this hardware generation of the eighth generation is going to be able to last a lot longer. It's going to be able to basically free up developers to do things they couldn't do before for many years to come, which is really the only reason why a new generation, a new system should even be made. So, um, the most visually impressive thing I'd say, well, they showed that tech demo of an old man's head rendered, and they showed different facial expressions and things like that. And the head, it did look pretty close to being photorealistic, but we've seen this time and time again. There's a big difference between a tech demo of a photorealistic human face, in an isolated environment, and being able to make an entire game look like that running in real time dynamically. Uh, I think we're gonna get, as this generation goes on with PS4 and with the other systems, I think we're gonna get games closer to that. But I'm not gonna look at that demo and say, okay, this is a demonstration of the graphics we're going to be seeing, in launch window through 2015. I don't see that. I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing. I think that sums up my thoughts on the PlayStation 4 reveal. And it really, doing it now is going to free up Sony to just be able to get straight to the games and talk more meaningfully about what gamers are going to be interested in come E3. What else? They didn't show the act. They showed the controller. They didn't actually show the system. They didn't show the hardware console. That's going to be a good. That's a nice going to be a nice reveal for E3 2013. And I'm just very glad for Sony that they named it PlayStation 4 because there's talk like they're going to take the code name Orbis and actually work that into the retail name of the product, sort of like how PlayStation, Vita and then Orbis, and like Vita and Orbis, like Vitae Orbis would mean like the circle of life when they. Another thing, I want to talk about Vita a bit. Vita makes a bit more sense now. Vita basically, when it came out, I thought of it sort of as a solution to a problem that doesn't exist yet. And in the context of the PlayStation 4, hopefully Vita can find some relevance and get rolling and be the product that Sony wants it to be. I mean, Vita on its own, Vita is not. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a thriving platform in its own right, even to the extent that the PSP was. But as part of this greater vision that it seems like Sony has for what the eighth generation is going to be like for them, hopefully the Vita makes more sense and it gets some more steam behind it. I think I've said enough, and thank you very much for watching.